Nation. You can get all the details in there. Also, as we try to get to the bottom of what is the COVID scandal, the COVID millionaires in the Daily Nation, they're talking about the tale of backdated letter and a visit by Nairobi Senator Sakaja. This story is on the back page of the Daily Nation. You can get all the details therein. Move it along to the front page of the Star now. This is matters BBI that the Star is leading with. BBI, ODM pushes for fresh amendments. Uhuru and Ruto allies are also discussing changes that are likely to be announced on Friday this week. This story can be found on page 4 and 5. Some of the demands that they're talking about are at the top of the paper, if you can have that up on screen. We're talking about Orange Party wanting 70 constituencies and nomination of IBC chiefs revisited. So is it too late to have these amendments put in? We actually did hear from one of the co-principals as far as the BBI process is concerned, former PM Raila Odinga, speaking about the fact that where we are, we don't have time for more amendments on this one. But this coming from his backyard, what does this mean for the process moving forward? How much time do we have before we move this particular document forward? It's a story that you can find in your copy of your Star. And finally, looking at matters business, workers keep 4,800 as COVID tax reliefs end. The Treasury seeks to widen payee bans to soften blow from return of maximum 30% tax rate in January. This coming off the back, of course, as Treasury also did announce that the relief that most people had experienced is likely to end come January 2021 from your VAT that currently is at 14% up back to 16% and a raft of other measures put in place. This also coming in as far as that's concerned. You can find this story in your copy of your Business Daily as well. So this is what you're waking up to as far as your dailies are concerned right across your papers today. But we're also going to be having a key discussion right now, and it's all about BBI and devolution. How do we devolve the benefits that are in the documents, if they are there to begin with? We have that discussion right here. I have a very able panel to go through that particular discussion. Welcome aboard. Back, of course, like we said, now that you know what are in the papers as you wake up this morning, let's get to our big story of the day and our big conversation that we'll be having right now. It's all about devolving the benefits of the BBI. In studio, joined by Rosa Wango Karaoke. She is the National Deputy Youth Leader, NARC Kenya. Good morning, Rosa.
Good morning to you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I can see pen and paper. You're raring to go.
Yes.
Fantastic
ready.
stuff. Thank you so much for making time this morning. Also joined by Joash Mangi. He's a Deputy Governor, Kisii County. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
Thank you for making time as well.
Thank you.
Asante sana. We'll also be joined by David Makali. He is an analyst. He's a journalist. He's been on both sides of this particular story. He's followed the elections, participated in them as well, vied for office, and he'll be weighing in on this particular issue even as we move this forward. So let's start it from the beginning, because very many people have given their sentiment in the sense that when you think about BBI, it's all about them. And when I say them, I mean the political class. Let's start with you, Rosa. Are there any benefits the counties are to be expecting from this particular document as we move forward?
From the BBI?
Yes.
I would say no, because the benefits are in the 2010 Constitution.
They're already there.
They're already there. So there's nothing new. The idea of increment in terms of their money allocated to the counties, nothing stops the president from allocating more money. This Constitution doesn't stop him. So, and the 15% is just the minimum. So if he wants to give 40, 50, 100%, he can. So this Constitution, if the president cannot allocate or give or disperse the money as fast as he could with the 15%, what assures the county that 35% will actually come on time? So the truth of the matter is that the benefits are still in the 2010 Constitution, and if the county leadership were truthful, they will actually say the BBI will not work for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you said that, because you do have someone from county leadership. He's second in command in Kisii County. You've dealt with the issues on the ground, so you know how it is covering administration in the county. Yes. When you look at the BBI with the benefits that are in there from revenue increase, regional blocks as far as that's concerned, are these the benefits that will trickle down, or as Rosa says, are they already there?
I agree with Rose completely. It is nothing. The 2010 Constitution put a baseline, a minimum of 15% to be transferred to counties. it did not put the top. It never put the top percentage. So nothing, as he says, nothing stops the president or parliament from increasing from 15 to 35 and to 50, even to 70.
Right.
So the pretext that BBI will bring that 5% is an excuse to, to convince counties to vote for it.
Right.
So yes, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that 5% will come, but it's an excuse.
Right.
Nothing stops from the current regime from giving counties more than 15%. But this is, I've said before that this is an excuse. The real thing in devolution is the creation of the leader of opposition post and the creation of prime ministers and 2 deputy prime ministers. That is the main reason why BBI was created, nothing else. All other things are excuses, but the thing is that they needed to create the post of leader of opposition and also the post of prime minister and deputy prime ministers. On the post of leader of opposition, I totally agree. I've said before and I'll say it again, that I think it will stop these fancy or post-election violences, even post-election handshakes, because I say it again and I will say it again. If in 2017 we had the post of leader of opposition with attendant allowance to create a shadow government and the shadow cabinet ministers and a proper constitutionally protected office, Raila Amolo Odinga would have not seen the need to go for an handshake. He would have remained there, he could have kept the government on check, and he could, right now, will be doing better because he will be keeping this government on check. But because he joined the government through a handshake, nobody's keeping the government on check.
Right.
On the post of prime minister, I don't think so. It's the same as having a majority leader.
Right.
So the main benefit in this BBI thing is the creation of the post of leader of opposition, which will entice number twos in presidential elections, will stop them from going to the streets, will stop them from on the handshake, because they'll be comfortable that even though I lost, I'm still going to be part of this government because I've been in parliament. No bill will be passed without his input. Nothing much will be discussed in parliament with the input of the leader of opposition.
Right.
So that one I support.
Okay. Let me have David McCarley in on this one as well, because it's been a key issue of debate in social discourse, in public, as well. David, from where you stand, and this is a question I asked you, and you asked it back to me. From where you stand, do you see any benefits of this particular document devolving down to the county level? David, please, if you can unmute. I think you've muted your microphone. If you could kindly unmute it.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, much better.
Well, thanks for morning. I'm glad to join this discussion. I can't hear you very well, but let me first say that I think the BBI as an initiative is a very great thing, but we need to unpack the package that is BBI. There are a couple of documents that constitute what is being called as the BBI report. There is the report itself, there is the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, which seeks to make very wide-ranging constitutional amendments. And then there are the legislative proposals, bills which need to be passed in Parliament, as well as other recommendations for policy, administrative changes that are proposed to enhance our governance and the structure of our country. I have no problem, and many people have no problem with the legislative proposals, the bills which are proposed to be enacted by Parliament to bring into effect certain things and cure certain deficiencies in our governance structure. The biggest problem, of course, is with the Constitutional Amendment Bill itself, which has been published and sent around, and on which basis signatures were being collected. Now, that is really where the issues are. And I hear my friend, Deputy Governor Joash Mangi, of course, supporting the creation of all these positions, Prime Minister and so forth. There are a few good things that can be said, very few things that can be said about the Constitutional Amendment Bill, because most of those proposals have challenges if you look beneath or you interrogate further. But there are also good things which are coming to the counties by virtue of this BBI in totality report. For example, the proposal to increase the county revenues and so forth, and things which are tightening the management of county resources, such as, for example, the control of budget having to look at projects which are under implementation to make sure they are completed before allocations are made to other projects so that we don't have many day projects of white elephants all over the place. There's also a proposal which I think is supported to a certain extent of allowing CECs to be appointed from among members of the county assembly. And with regard to the counties, it pegs that to not more than 50%. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of things are being tied down to the county governments, but the national government is being excused from those same provisions. If you look at, for example, the requirement that the candidates for governor must have an opposite gender running mate, you wonder why that is not provided for in the national presidential election itself, if indeed we're serious and want to go deep enough. You look at the composition of cabinet, for example, at the national level, the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister proposed, and so forth. There is no requirement that, for example, these things be split between the genders, so that, you know, if you have a Prime Minister who is a male, the deputies should be male or female, and so forth, including cabinet. If you have a cabinet secretary who is male, maybe you need to have a female deputy, and so forth. These things are excused from the national government, but on the county level, a lot of specifics are being put there, which is good. But I want to say overall, to cut this short, this bill, the Constitutional Amendment Bill, does not go far enough in addressing the challenges that we've had in the county governments, which is corruption, which is lack of accountability, total accountability for executive power. Executive power is given to the county governor, but accountability and responsibility for expenditure and management of those resources, again, the governor is excused, and as we've seen so many corruption cases where there's a lot of hanky-panky going on in the grassroots, governors always find a way to dodge. Yet we know that the county executives are always under instruction of the county governor,
right,
and so many other things. So we didn't tighten that. Two, we have not addressed the matter of delay of disbursement of national resources to the counties, which governors are always whining about, and Josh Mangi, deputy there, can tell you they have vast in terms of the revenues due to the counties. Why aren't governors sticking out their neck on these matters?
Okay.
Then if you look at finally, there is a good thing that is being applauded. For example, the creation of the World Development Fund, and pegging it to 5% of total revenues received or held by the counties. To me, that's a very tiny amount of money. Two, it need not even be in the Constitution, because we can decide next year to make it 20 or 30%. We need to go and amend the Constitution. So some of these things we are saying ought not to be in the Constitution in the first place, and that's why I'm praising and saying I'm happy with the constitutional, with the legislative bills, but not the Constitutional Amendment Bill itself.
Okay, let me bring it back to studio and get to Deputy Governor Josh on this one, because like you said, from where you stand, you see that the biggest benefit is the creation of this leader of opposition position. But some people look at it and say that's just rationalizing politicians' bad behavior, because at the end of the day, if we strengthen the institutions, then if you lose, you'll accept that you've lost, and you don't have to go to the streets and demand a handshake and get it to a point where you have to shake hands and sit down. You'll have faith in the process, and then from there you'll go home and wait for the next 5 years to try your hand in the race again.
You know, Chef, sometimes it's important that we be realistic. Sometimes we use the example of America and say that look at Trump. Trump got 70 million votes, but he's gone home. See, that is a wrong example. The system in America is such that the presidential candidates don't use their money. They raise money, they get money from, from the public. But in Kenya, which is a young democracy, we must agree a young democracy, most of the presidential candidates use their own money for campaigns. So sometimes we need to make sure that we don't get the wrong comparisons. Can you imagine a man who has spent, a couple of billions to campaign to become president, and then he loses, goes home with nothing? So we need to be realistic that this is a challenge. This is Kenya. This is not America. This is not UK. This is Kenya. So we need to be realistic and say that if you leave this man with nothing, he's going to keep on causing trouble. But other than that, we also need, it's more, you said in 1964, I think, that there's need for a vibrant opposition to keep the government on check. Now, the creation of a leader of opposition in parliament, so that the leader of opposition sits in parliament and makes sure that it keeps the government on check, is a good thing. Mm-hmm. It's not, in fact, that is part of the strengthening of institutions. That will be strengthening the institution of parliament. so that Parliament can make meaningful discussions. Right now, if you look at Parliament, both ODM and Jubilee are one thing. So nobody is asking questions.
Right.
So the creation of the leader of opposition is actually one way of strengthening Parliament.
Okay.
Let me say something about the challenges in counties. Makali, my friend Makali, has mentioned a few good things, like the creation of a World Development Fund, but we have counties that have already created that fund. We don't need a referendum to create the fund. Some counties have already created those funds. The main challenges that I wish that is actually stifling devolution are two. Number one, micromanagement by the Treasury. They even issue the risk money when they feel like, and they micromanage. They literally require you to itemize what you need for the money. You don't get the freedom to manage the account freely, and they send the money when they feel like. But the biggest problem is that the principle, the cardinal principle in devolution, that is funds with full functions, has not been paid. Once we pay that principle of funds full functions, then we don't even need to put a percentage on which to go. Let me explain something. You see, people do not understand that for every principle in law, there's a mischief they're trying to solve. The reason why the framers of the Constitution put 15% as the minimum to go to counties was meant to protect counties from being dissolved. In the 60s, during Machimboism, the first president killed Machimbo, the Machimbo system, by refusing to release funds. So even if we had a bad president who is anti-devolution, and then all he will do is withdraw funds. He will give you 10% or 5%. Okay. So 15% was the threshold, the minimum that you need to pay salaries, you need to run the office, no more O&M. Okay. Operation management. But then the balance of the money was come through the principle funds to full functions. So functions were supposed to be costed. For example, and I've said this before, let me take the example of Kisi. What was supposed to be done is that transition authority was supposed to go to Kisi and see how much money was health utilizing in Kisi in 2013, how much money was agriculture taking to Kisi in 2013. Then that money will be unbundled and sent to Kisi. So there should be no upper limit or lower limit. It should be that if a function has been devolved, it must go with all the funds. But now we have a situation whereby the Ministry of Health is fully devolved. But I'm telling you, 50% of health funds are still in Nairobi. That's why when they had nothing to do with the money, they decided to buy for us equipment, because they had nothing to do with the money.
Let me get Rosa in on this one when you talk about the money in counties, because one of the proposals in the BBI, in order to strengthen this oversight component by the county assembly, is to make sure that the county assembly budgets are insulated so that the CECs, the county executives, can't tamper with that, and so that the MCAs can have that autonomy and freedom to play a proper oversight role. Is that what we need, so that even as Deputy Governor Josh here asks for more money, he'll be accountable to the county assembly for every shilling that's spent at a county level? Is that what's needed to make sure that you're now confident when the money comes down, it's put to good use?
I'm still not confident with that, because look at the small amount of money that they have been allocated since 2013 to date. How have they accounted for that money? What have they done for Wanjiko, for Atieno at the county level? What have they done? Some governors have corrupt cases. Some have not. Wanjiko has not benefited, let me just say that, from even the 15% allocated to her. So my recommendation will be, don't give counties more money till we account for the 15%. I understand their needs at the county, but even if we can't we can't account for this. You're saying that the MCAs should be given the ward fund. I saw that.
Right.
Who will oversee that fund? They're supposed to oversee the money allocated to the governors at the county. If you give them a fund, who will foresee that? Who will oversight that? Who will be accountable? Who will they even go back to the people and say, this is what we have done with the money? Right. So for me, is that this shows that we have a lot of money in this country. These 13, it shows we have a lot of money. And it's unfortunate that we can't even account for this money that we have. But even for the national government, they are, I agree with the governor, with the deputy governor here, that they are holding on to money, which is wrong. It is absolutely wrong. The person who is suffering is not even the governor or the deputy governor or the CECs, is Wanjiku there. So if they continue holding on to this money, Wanjiku will never see the benefits of devolution.
Right.
And will keep saying that the national government is the one responsible. At this point, at least, to some extent, the Wanjiku or people at the Mashinani understand the functions of devolution. Not the 100%, but at least we'll say for 20%, they do understand. If the national government was fair enough to the people and to the people of Kenya who have given them this so much power, let them devolve this money. Let them share the resources that they have so that Wanjiku can benefit. We're talking about health.
Okay.
And doctors are going on strike. Doctors are dying. Nurses are dying. Patients are dying. Who is responsible for this?
Right.
Counties will push blame to national, national will push blame to county. We, the people, will continue dying, and no one will be accountable for this. So I want to say this. Let this country be accountable. Let's be truthful to what we do. Let's stop pushing blame and let Wanjiku benefit from all this.
Okay, I want us to take a short break at this particular point in time. As we come back after the break, also one of the proposals mooted in there was the amendment of Article 200. They want some of the functions of Nairobi County to be absorbed at a national level, and we'll see this play out today. Of course, an opportune time to have this discussion as Governor Sonko heads to the Senate, of course, for his impeachment hearing right there. We take a short break right now. We are back after the break with plenty more. If you don't have your copy of your People Daily, by the way, you can get it straight to your phone. The number that you dial is *550*4#, and you get it courtesy of the PD and Safaricom. Short break. We're back with more. This is K24 This Morning.